Good morning, everyone. As far as this session is concerned, this is environmental management system based on ISO 14001. And I'll be talking on various aspects as defined in the next view foil. If you look here, I will just give my introduction and my company's introduction. And we will start with our first module, basics of ISO. What is ISO? What is the structure? What is its alignment with the other standards? And then we'll have a quick overview of IMS, Integrated Management System. And the third module, in which we will be talking about clauses of ISO 14001 and basics and concepts of environmental management system. I am Hasib Tahir Baig. I'm heading this organization, Quality Management System 9000. I am basically an aeronautical engineer. I served in the Air Force and aeronautical complex. As far as QMS.9000 is concerned, we have over 1,000 corporate clients. And in last couple of years, it's been 25 years now, we have provided professional trainings to over 12,000 industry professionals across the region. When I say region, I'll be showing it in the next view foil. We have vast exposure of working with the global and international organizations like World Bank, ILO, United Nations World Food Program, and WHO, etc., etc. You can see here on this view foil. On the right-hand side, you can see 4 columns that shows our area of speciality. The first one here is certification and compliances. We provide consulting and trainings on various ISO standards. That includes 9,000, 14,000, 45,000, 27,000, and so on. Then is information systems. Then is lab accreditation. We claim that we are the originators of consulting related to lab management in Pakistan. It includes the industrial and commercial labs. It also includes the medical and hospital labs. So far, we have provided consulting to over 110 laboratories and got them accredited from various international accreditation bodies. And on the right-hand side is our business excellence division, in which we have experts and lean practitioners who are working on productivity enhancement, lean manufacturing, lean management, 5S, Kaizen, and so on. This is the overall reach of this company, QMS.9000. We have presence across Pakistan, and we have presence in GCC countries. That includes UAE and Qatar as well. And on the right-hand side, you see the distribution of our share in various regions. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a short introduction about myself and my company. I will be going through this training. The basic objective of this training is to clear concepts about ISO and provide basic understanding on requirements of ISO 14001 and its alignment with other standards like quality management, occupational safety, right? Module 1 is basically to clear the concepts. When we say ISO, International Organization for Standardization, it is the abbreviation for I stands for international, O for organization, and S for standardization. So it is basically International Organization for Standardization, which was formed back in 1947, and it has its head office in Geneva, Switzerland. There are over 164 members of this organization, And if we talk of Pakistan, Pakistan Standard Quality Control Authority, PSQCA, under Ministry of Science and Technology, represents Pakistan in ISO. You must be aware of various ISO standards. As you can see here on this view foil, ISO 9000 is for quality management. ISO 14000 is environmental management. ISO 45000 is occupational health and safety, and so on. You can see here on this view foil, there are different standards for laboratory management, for medical laboratory management, for social compliances, for information security, for food safety. So basically, what is the requirement? What is the purpose of these ISO standards? So that the management systems are harmonized in order to facilitate international trade. If we talk of quality management system here in Pakistan, or in US, or in France, or in Germany, or in China, or anywhere in the world, the management system requirements are the same. So if we subscribe to these international standards and we implement requirements according to these standards, we meet international standards and international requirements and best practices. As I said, today's session is related to environmental management. But since, luckily, in 2012 and 2015, three basic standards of ISO are harmonized. The structure has been changed in order to facilitate so that wherever we go for the system development, initially we used to talk about quality management only. And then the requirement comes, environment, and then we go for 14,000. Then we go for, now it is combined. I will just like to show you. I will just touch upon ISO 9000, 14,000, and 45,000, but mainly I will talk about 14,000 environmental management. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as far as compliances are concerned, these are the basic 5 levels of compliances. Number 1, quality. Quality, the standard available for the quality is ISO 9001. Environment, 14,001. Occupational health and safety, ISO 45,000. Physical security का जो standard है, that is CTPAT, Customer Trade Partnership Against Terrorism. Pakistan has adopted this standard. और अगर information security की बात करें तो that is ISO 27001. Social compliances के लिए the standard that is available, initially it was ISO 8000, now it is ISO 26000. All foreign buyers, all big brands, all chains, they have their own vendor code of conduct, VCOC, yeah, terms of engagement, TOC, or codes. So all these big names in the market like Walmart, Gap, Chap, Nike, JCPenney, Sears, Kohl's, IKEA. So they have their own code of conduct and they have taken requirements from these 5 standards. Like, for example, maybe Adidas, who's getting manufacturing their products here in Pakistan, they give more emphasis on environmental management. Levi's maybe gives more emphasis on occupational safety. Some other gives more emphasis on social compliances. But all these requirements have been taken from these standards. So we need to understand these standards and implement in true letter and spirit. The essence of this is not that we just do the documentary requirement and get the certification. No, we have to truly implement these standards so that we get benefit. I will just give you a very small example. Back in 1994, आज से कितने साल पहले हो गए? अंदाजा लगा लें, कैलकुलेट कर लें. I was working in a aviation industry that was in France, Bordeaux. दासो कहलाती है, जो कि मिराज एयरक्राफ्ट के पार्ट्स बनाते हैं. So in 1994, on a weekend when I was going for a city trip, so we used to pick up a form from reception and fill it and give it to receptionist. So one fine day when I was going on a weekend, so I just looked at the board and I didn't see that form. And I asked the reception, and she just got up and picked up a small piece of slip and gave it to me. And I said, "What happened?" It used to be a full A4 page. She said, "You don't know? We are doing ISO 9000. I'm not giving you a fabricated story. I am telling you the true incident that happened. So that receptionist told me that there is a subclause of ISO 5 point blah, 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 that says conservation of resources, and our management had decided to reduce the usage of paper. ये मैं उनकी बात कर रहा हूं. That company Dassault still exists, and their turnover is around 48 billion US dollars, one of the big industries. So idea of giving this example is that these developed countries have really implemented these standards and they have benefited from these standards. So we should also try our level best not to do a cosmetic thing and get the certification by doing a small little documentation. Rather, we should truly implement these standards so that we improve our productivity, we improve our performance, we improve our working, and we get on the road to progress. As far as ISO 9000 is concerned, this is the standard for quality management. The businesses or the organizations can improve their efficiency, improve customer satisfaction if they comply to the requirements of this standard. The current standard right now, which is applicable, is ISO 9001 2015 version. That is the latest. Similarly, if we talk of ISO 14000, Environmental Management System, it helps organizations to improve their environmental performance through better use of their resources, reducing the wastages, and reducing the pollution and gaining competitive edge in the market. So the current standard that is applicable is 215 version, ISO 14000 2015, which we will be talking in module 3. ISO 45000 जो है, initially it used to be OSHA's Occupational Health Safety Assessment Series 18001. Now it is aligned with other ISO standards. So all these three standards, ISO 9000, 14000, and 45000, have been aligned. So there is a lot of benefit. Maybe after, 10 years, 8 years back, I remember companies used to ask that they want to go for ISO 9000. Okay. So we carry out their gap analysis, develop their systems, their training, their audits, and then finally get them the certification. Later on, they say we have a requirement by the buyer for environment management. So we do the documentation and everything separately. So here it is ISO 9000, here is a lot of documentation, a lot of duplication. So now it has been aligned, that I will show you. So the latest version of occupational health and safety is 45,000. So basically, occupational health and safety is related to workers and workplace, the workplace safety, the health of workers, and the safety of workplace. That is covered in this system. As I said, now it's not ISO 9000 or 40,000, it is integrated management. That these integrated means combination of two or more standards. So when we talk integrated management or QHSE, it means quality, health, safety, and environment. That is covered in ISO 9000, 14,000, and 45,000. So these are various steps and phases. Phase one is review and gap analysis, where you conduct the gap analysis that this is the requirement of the standard and this is what we are doing. And these are the recommendations. So this is the backbone of the project. If you have done good gap analysis and by utilizing some experts, you will be able to develop a better system. So second step, phase two, is system documentation, where you develop policies, procedures, work instructions, SOPs, and so on. Third is implementation through trainings and awareness. Phase four is internal auditing, and finally the certification. So these are the steps. And if we do the shortcut, people just sometimes say, let's do the documentation and get the certification. No, that is not the right way. You won't get any benefit from that piece of paper. I am strictly following English. I love to talk in Urdu, but there are some international participants also that have been registered in this training. I don't know whether they are here right now or not. So that's why I'm sticking on to English. Okay, so any standard of ISO is developed according to this philosophy, which is called Deming cycle, or PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. You take out any ISO standard, it has been developed and formulated based on this methodology, PDCA. So what is this plan? That you carry out the gap analysis, baseline assessment, define your policy, assign responsibilities, and provide resources. If you have to truly implement the system, you need a person who is going to look after this system. Set objectives and targets and develop your system. That is planning. Then is do means, how are you going to do it? How are you going to implement it? Create awareness. It should not be developed in isolation, that you develop policies, procedures, systems, and one fine morning the auditors come and carry out the audit, and there is one person who is handling the audit and everything. So this must be implemented across the organization through trainings at floor level, worker level, supervisor level, manager level, top management. So they really understand the philosophy and theme and get benefits out of these standards and best practices. Check means once you implement your system, you need to see the health and state of your system. How have you implemented? Is it effective? Is it understood by everyone? Are policies aligned with the procedures? Are procedures aligned with the work practices? Are people making best use of it? So for that, you conduct audits and you see where do you stand. And finally, act. Once you find out the non-conformances, you take corrective actions and ensure that the system is truly implemented across the board. Okay, now as you see here on this view foil, as I said, these three standards, ISO 9000, 14,000, and 45,000. 9,000 किस चीज का है? Quality management. 14,000 environmental management. 45,000 occupational health and safety. So they have been aligned. Their structure is same, as you can see here. So these are the 10 main clauses of any ISO standard, any of these ISO standards. Three. First is scope. normative reference, terms and definition. So the actual standard starts from clause 4. So we will be talking about what are these clauses when we go to our module 3. Okay? So this is the overall alignment and the structure, high-level structure of these ISO standards. When I say these ISO standards, it is 9,000, 14,000. बाकी अभी इसके हिसाब से अलाइन नहीं है. They are different. 27,000 is for different. 17025 is different. 15189. But these three, quality, environment, and safety, because they come together. I will just like to mention here about questioning. In order to have better time management, since you are all on different mics and different places, so I would appreciate that you please keep noting down the slide number given at the bottom. And we will have question answer session at the end, or you can just write your question in the Dropbox. I mean, you can see here, there is a chat box. You can just write your name and question, right? So I'll handle those questions accordingly. Module 2, just a quick overview. I'll just try to cover it in another 10 minutes or so. How these three standards are aligned, right? So that there is a lot of duplication has been eliminated by aligning these three standards. It is more practical now, and the documentation part has been reduced, right? So let's look at it. On this, you can see here, I have created some shade in the first slide so that you can get the attention. There is a box where ISO 9000, ISO 14,000, and ISO 45,000. So in all these three standards, clause 1 is scope. Scope means boundaries. Who can use these standards? Where can it be applied? It can be applied in any company, any size, right? Normative reference. How has this standard been developed? I mean, if you really want to go into very details, then this will be a useful part. Otherwise, not much required. Then terms and definitions. The terminologies which are used in these standards. In ISO 9000, terms and terminologies related to ISO 9000 will be given in clause 3. In ISO 14,000 standard, terms and definitions related to 14,000 will be given, and so on. So the actual standard starts here, clause 4, context of the organization. In ISO 9000, you have to define the scope, you have to define the quality management system processes. And in environment, you have to define the scope for environmental management. Scope means if you have a big organization and there are different departments, you want that we will implement environmental management system in our section, in our department ABC, let's say chemical, right? So you have to define. And if you want to apply in the entire organization, you have to mention in the scope that you want to apply, apply the requirements of this standard throughout the organization. Same goes for occupational health and safety. This I will cover in ISO 40,000 module 3 in detail. I will just quickly like to, basic purpose is to familiarize you with these clauses. Hai kya? So clause 4 is context of organization. Understand the organization. What are the needs and expectations? Clause 5 is leadership. Commitment by the top management. Define the policies. How are you going to take these standards? How are you going to reduce pollution? How are you going to bring improvements? So this comes from the top management. The policy has to be defined by the top management, right? Then is clause 6 is planning. If you are doing integrated management, where you are covering 9, 14, and 45, so you have to define business risks, environmental aspects, hazards. And if you are doing only 14,000, So you just have to concentrate on environmental aspects, environmental objectives, right? Clause 7, support. What resources are required? Competence, awareness, communication, documented information. Right now, I'm just going through it. I'm repeating my sentence. Don't get worried that I'm going very fast. This we are going to cover in the next module when we talk of ISO 14000, right? So all these are aligned for these three standards. Clause 8, operations. If we talk of ISO 9000, the operations means operational planning and control related to the product and services, related to design and development of the product, related to externally provided services, and so on. For 14,000, operations means that we cover the requirements of this standard and see what is the emergency preparedness and response. And for 45,000, we cover hazards and eliminate these hazards and risks. Clause 9 is performance evaluation by monitoring, internal auditing, management reviews, and so on. And the last one is improvements. How do we bring improvements in the system, right? So this is a quick overview. And now we will be covering all this in details. I will share the other slide